Video games, huh?
Sure, video games. Hey, I'm Cody Goff, and this is Jonathan Martin. We're Game Life Balance US. We're a couple adult gamers with lives and jobs and things and responsibilities who don't have a lot of time to play video games. And today, John's reviewing Doom, the 2016 video game. And again, this is from the context of a couple gamers who don't have a ton of time to play video games, but, have lives. So John has played this game. I have not, so he's going to talk a lot about it, and I'm going to ask questions, and it's going to be wonderful. And at the end of this, you're going to know whether you should spend money or not.
This is about the most current that I get. This is actually a game that was released this year that I'm playing, which for us, I feel like that is that's kind of a big thing. I mean, it doesn't happen that often. A lot of times we buy games on sale for like $20 after they've been out for 2 years. So
yeah, we're cheap.
See, I actually bought this game on sale for $20 this year, the year it came out. So, to be honest, Doom, the new Doom, the one that was released by Bethesda, totally not like my style of game. I have been on record on this show and many other shows saying how much I dislike first-person shooters specifically.
Many other shows? What other shows have you been on?
All of the shows. A tremendous number of shows.
Oh, right. You were on all the shows.
Tremendous. It was a tremendous number of shows.
Huge.
So I was on a huge and tremendous number of shows. I have talked pretty consistently about how first-person shooters just in general, kind of not my thing. And especially with kind of the direction that they're going. So the hyper-realistic, like Call of Duties and Battlefields, that's totally not my thing. So the shooters that have always kind of piqued my interest, at least over the past 10, 15 years, have been third-person shooters. And I've talked about Gears of War a couple times on this show. I talked about Mass Effect 3, which is a third-person shooter that, for me, was awesome. Loved it, as well as Mass Effect 2. So basically nothing about this game should have been a game for me. It's a first-person shooter, which, again, totally not my style of shooter. There's no cover, which is the other thing about the third-person shooter genre that I really like. I like being able to sit in cover, pick an opportune moment to snap out of cover, fire a bit, and then be able to go back into cover. You
like camping?
Yeah. So in Gears of War, for instance, just to give you a comparison, it's one of the only games where I've ever liked to be a sniper. I really like to hang at the back of the battlefield, and when the waves of enemies are coming, be able to kind of peek out of cover, headshot something, and then go back into cover while I reload, that kind of thing.
Do you know scope?
I don't know scope. I'm not that good. I'm not that good at shooters. I'm not that good at
impressed.
Not impressed. The whole reason why that is fun for me is because there's a cover system where if I'm spotted by an enemy when I peek out, they start shooting at me, I can just sneak right back into cover. I don't have to worry about like quickly flanking around a pillar or something like that. Anyway, basically what I'm trying to set up is that nothing about Doom should have appealed to me, right? And I never even played the original Doom, so I don't even have that basis of nostalgia to approach this game from. That wasn't something that was going to appeal to me either. So I had no basis for Doom at all.
You never played any of the Doom games?
No, none of them.
Did you play Wolfenstein?
No, I didn't. Wow. So the only reason why I bought this game was because a couple of the podcasts that I listened to had nothing but really great things to say about it. And not only were the things that they were talking about with this game good, they put a lot of emphasis on how surprisingly good it was. Like a game that shouldn't have been as good as this game is, it is that good. And so I was like, well, I have to try it. And I can get it for $20 because it was on sale through GameStop or something for $20. And I said, all right, well, I'm for $20, for as much awesome stuff as I've heard about this game, I can take that plunge. So I got it, and I started playing the game. And this game feels unlike any other first-person shooter that I've ever played. And now, to be fair, I don't have a ton of context for them. But for the couple of times that I've picked up, like, Call of Duty when we've been playing it at somebody's house or something like that, one of the things that always kind of struck me as not fun about it is when you're in first person mode like that, moving kind of slowly and kind of deliberately. And everything about Doom is super fast. Like fast in a way that could easily feel out of control if you're approaching it from one of the slower types of shooters. So there's a lot of moving around the environment, turning quickly, shotgunning a demon to the face, running around like a corner to get out of sight, turning around, shotgunning another demon in the face. And it feels the movement and that feeling of momentum and everything that happens in the game is just perfect. The balance that they strike between moving really fast but feeling like you have total control of your character is like, it is perfect. So I played this game on my PC on a couch with my PC attached to the TV, and so I was playing with joysticks on a control pad, and I had zero problems at all with aiming and controlling. There's no auto aim or anything like that. Just with the way that the guns are designed, though, it's not that difficult to aim, which is great. And it feels super snappy. So, it again, it's not a game that should have appealed to me at all, but it turned out to be just awesome.
No, wait, you also really like Borderlands 2 for context. And isn't that a faster game?
Borderlands feels a little different to me in that it's like a loot grind game, right? Like
sure, but in terms of pure play control and play style, in terms of speed and how the controls themselves feel, not the structure of the game or anything, but would you compare it to Borderlands 2 in that way?
No, it's much faster.
Okay.
Much faster. And Borderlands 2 is such a different thing when it comes to shooters because there's a power progression with your character that doesn't really exist in Doom. Like your guns get stronger in the sense that you modify them, but there aren't like stats that are increasing.
Yeah, Borderlands 2 is pretty unique with all the RPG elements.
Right. And so like you can eventually get to the point where regardless of if you're bad at the game, you can have guns that are so powerful that you're just destroying everything anyway.
Right.
Whereas in Doom, if you were not good at playing the game, you could not progress regardless of how many of the power-ups you had found in the game. So it's I think it's more of like your standard first-person shooter setup. Again, I don't have a lot of context because I don't play a lot of first-person shooters. So I want to kind of dig deep a little bit into some of the systems of it. So one of the first things that I really like about this game is the way that the levels are designed. I think the original Doom was like this in that there's like a starting to the level, and then you get to the end. And if I remember right, in Doom, it was like an elevator or something that you found at the end of every level. But then when you hit that, the screen basically wiped, and then you started a new level. And so the world was not interconnected. It was just a series of levels. This Doom is the same. So you'll get to a starting area. You'll have the map opened up in front of you. You'll go find stuff across the map and work your way through the map. And then at the end, there's the end point, and then you start the next level after that. So at any point then, you can then go back to a level if you want to like collect secrets and stuff. And it's a 30 to 45 minute start to finish typically. And so it's kind of set up then into bite-sized chunks like that. There are a finite, not infinite, there are a finite number of enemies, which I think is really uncommon now. I feel like most games use monster corridors, monster closets, where stuff is just going to keep spawning until you get to the end of the game. This game has a finite number of enemies, and you are rewarded as the player for killing all of them. So you get these weapon upgrade points that slowly unlock as you kill enemies throughout the course of the level. And you can upgrade up to 5 of them, or you can unlock up to 5 of them every level. And generally, if you're just going from start to finish the level and not doing a lot of the side paths along the main path, you'll get 3 to 4 weapon upgrade points just by sheer fact of getting into a kind of an arena style fight, killing everything, and then moving on. If you scour the level for everything, you're going to get all 5 weapon upgrade points. That's just how the game is set up. The cool thing is that once you've killed all those enemies, there's a ton of secrets throughout the game. And the game is super vertical and super horizontal. So the feeling of exploration, you're eventually given a double jump, which gives you complete control of your character in midair. And the feeling of exploration throughout each of the levels is super sweet. Like, you can generally see where something is hidden, and then you are tasked as the player to figure out how to get up there. And generally, like, the path up there is kind of hidden, but then once you find it, it makes sense, and it's really cool, and it feels really good to get to these secret areas. And then you're usually rewarded with something, whether it be a permanent health upgrade or ammo upgrade, or you might find they've got these little collectible Doom dolls that unlock character. They unlock like things that you can view in the main menu, that kind of thing.
Would you call them Doom bots?
There are also like codex entries that flush out the story of the world, which are kind of interesting. The story is kind of inconsequential to this game. It's very inconsequential to this game. And so just the exploration, the feeling of exploration in the game is better than it is. I would liken it to Metroid Prime, actually, in terms of exploration.
I was going to ask, because Metroid Prime is one of your favorite video games of all time.
It is. Yeah, it is. And one of the things that I love about that game is the sense of exploration that you get. There are plenty of times in Metroid Prime, maybe that's why I liked this game so much. I never connected that, but there were plenty of times in Metroid Prime where there wouldn't be anything to kill. There would be no enemies. It would just be you in a room, sometimes just trying to get to like a door on top of like a ledge or something like that. Or you knew there was a power up in this room and you had to figure out how to get to it. That kind of thing. Like that, very frequently after you have gone through the most amazing monster arena, because this game is a series of monster arenas. You move a little bit, you kill a couple of things on the way, and then once you hit like this big open area, you kill 40 demons, and then you move on and do that from arena to arena throughout the level. Once you're done doing that, you then have that freedom to go explore for secrets, and that feeling is so much like that feeling in Metroid Prime of looking for secrets. It's really great.
But in Metroid Prime being a Nintendo game, there's a lot of weapons and items that help you interact with the environment to solve puzzles. So in Doom, are you just searching each corner of a room, trying to find like a hidden switch, or are there weapons that interact with the actual environment?
No. There's nothing that interacts with the environment. You get like, there's one switch per level that unlocks a hidden area, and the hidden area has an art style like the original Doom when you walk into it.
Oh, so it's all like really bad.
Yeah, but it's super pixelated, and then all of the enemies in there are from the regular game. So they're like regular, and it looks awesome. It's pretty funny too. And then the music changes to super pixelated Doom style music. And that there's one of those in every level. But no, there's no like the environmental puzzles, the environmental moving around is all based on you finding ledges and stuff to grab onto and jump around. So nothing like a tether beam or a grappling hook or anything like that. You do, again, get that double jump that feels really good. The double jump feels really good. But no, nothing like in Metroid Prime, like the grapple hook or anything like that, or the screw attack. The thing that I can't articulate, and you just kind of have to feel it when you play the game, is just how good the game feels when you're playing it. Because everything about this game feels awesome. The way, like, it has the best shotgun in any game that I've ever played, and it's the very first weapon you get is the shotgun. So the feeling of jumping, turning, like shotgunning a demon in the head, and then turning and running and shotgunning another demon in the head. Just that kind of feeling. Again, I can't describe it. You just kind of have to play it to get the idea of how it works. It is just great, right? It's just awesome. The other cool thing is that each weapon has one or two modifications to it that pretty dramatically change the way the weapon works. Again, I'll use the shotgun as an example. Your regular shotgun has a shotgun blast, like most shotguns. There's two different modifications to it. The first one turns the shotgun into a grenade launcher, where you can launch a grenade every 3-ish seconds that does a ton of damage. And then that can later be upgraded to have that grenade explode and then like cluster bomb other grenades out of it. So that turns it into you can think of it like a much slower, much more high damaging shotgun that way. And then the other upgrade for the shotgun turns it into a 3-round blast. So it fires 3 rounds at a time in a much narrower spread. So it's more of a single target killing machine. Whereas generally the shotgun is kind of a blast spray out, right? And I want to say the game's got about 8 different guns. So the combinations then are huge in terms of how you want to play the game. So I ended up gravitating to the shotgun, and then there's a Gauss rifle is what it's called. And it basically fires a giant laser. And then it's got modifications that make the laser even better.
I can't wrap my head around your description of how it feels so much better than any game, or saying it has the best feeling shotgun I've ever used in a first-person shooter. I can't picture that. Like I don't know what you're talking. I can't.
It's just it's like the weight of the gun. It's the way that the gun recoils when you fire it. It's the way that enemies react to being shot with the gun. It's just, again, it's hard to articulate why it feels so good. It's just everything is super snappy. You feel like you have 100% utter and total control of your character at all times, and that's a good thing. It's
yeah. Because from Halo 2, Halo 3 to Halo 4, they revamped the weight, like you're talking about, of a couple of the guns, where the recoil was reduced a little bit. The feedback, the vibration feedback was a little heavier for some, and it just felt like a more hefty kind of weighty gun. And that I thought Halo 4, some of the guns felt so much better than any other Halo game. So you did have vibration. You can set to vibrate on Steam, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, and the variety of guns, because it's a sci-fi game, because it ends up being a sci-fi game. It's got a much larger variety than some of your realistic shooters, where there's a couple of different rifles that you might have, and there's a couple of different assault rifles that you might have. I mean, this has lasers and a rocket launcher that can lock onto stuff, and just it's got a very large variety of guns, and I want to play the game again, and it makes me want to play it and kind of pick 2 different guns. Because like I said, I picked two guns basically that I was switching between that were super fun to use. I kind of want to go through and pick 2 other guns, kind of almost like Bastion. So if you remember with Bastion, you end up I feel like you end up picking 2 weapons in that game and kind of sticking with them.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah, I think I generally picked the hammer, and I can't remember the other. It doesn't matter. But I kind of want to do the same thing with this game, because I feel like I could go through and have a super good time with the assault rifle that's in the game. Or there's this plasma rifle that fires these plasma bolts super fast, rapid fire, that I never used. I never even used that gun ever. And so I never even used this gun, and it's got 2 modifications on it that make the gun completely different. So there's so much about this game that's just so good. It's so good. The environments they end up being really varied. So the plot of the game is, I'll talk about that in a second. So you end up
for this.
You start on Mars, and you eventually go to Hell, and then you come back to Mars, and then you go to Earth, and then you end up back in hell. So you're going back and forth to a bunch of different places, which is great. And so again, varied. There's a lot of really open levels, which are cool, and then there's a lot of super narrow, tight, dense levels that are also cool for different reasons. The enemies are all over the place in terms of their design. They're great. They're all really great. Some of them more annoying than others, just like most games. And the story of the game, one of the things that the game revels in is its complete kind of irreverence. So just to give you an example, you wake up and you're the Doom Marine. That's your name, the Doom Marine. And there's an artificial intelligence system that's guiding you when you very first wake up. And it's in the first 5 minutes of meeting this system. And you walk into this elevator because you're trying to go to wherever it is you're going. And you go up the elevator and the AI starts talking to you through a speaker. And it's saying, now when you get there, you're going to have to, and it starts to talk. And the Doom Marine just takes his fist and just smashes the intercom. And you are then not given any more direction, and then the doors open and you just go. So there's a lot of really goofy stuff like that, again, that is super irreverent and super on the nose. And so it not taking itself seriously is a major benefit. It ends up being a major benefit to the game, since some games just take themselves too seriously. This game kind of nails it in terms of just feeling kind of goofy, but then just feeling really badass as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so I guess to conclude, the big things about the game are just the feel of it, the level design, the exploration aspect of it. All of those things are the best things about this game. It's the type of game where you have to keep moving. The minute that you stand, if there are enemies around, the minute that you stand still, you're going to die. That's just how the game is designed. So you're constantly moving, and it's unlike any other games that I've played. Generally, those just aren't my style of games. I want to be able to take my time, but just because the game is designed so well, and I played on the middle difficulty, but because the game is designed so well, it works so well to have to move that much.
Now, you were also a big fan of the Left 4 Dead franchise, I believe.
Yeah, I would say so. I didn't play a ton of it, though, but I really enjoyed what I did play of it.
Right. And that also is a game, well, there's just constant hordes of enemies, and moving is advantageous, probably, in a lot of situations in that game. Would you compare that at all to that experience?
Yeah. Big difference between those two games are, when you are playing Left 4 Dead, it's really tuned around playing as a team. And so sometimes you, as one of the survivors, can get kind of caught out. And if you're one-on-one with one of the special zombies, they can generally kill you. A hunter might take you down, and then there's nothing you can do without your teammate coming to assist you. Doom is all about you being the most badass, demon-killing destruction machine that maybe has ever existed. So you never feel underpowered for anything at all. The only thing, the reason why you die when you're playing Doom is, one, because you've stopped moving enough, but two, because you just get overwhelmed by the sheer number of enemies. There is no single enemy, other than the bosses in the game, that could take out the Doom Marine.
Wow.
At all. The Doom Marine is just a walking demon destroying machine, and it feels awesome.
And how violent is this game?
Incredibly. An outrageous amount. Over the top, to be honest, it's almost over the top. It's almost like a B horror movie over the top goriness.
Where there's just buckets of blood everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. When stuff explodes. I didn't even mention there's glory kills. So if you weaken an enemy, they'll start flashing, and if you go up into a melee attack, you'll glory kill them. And you do this because when you glory kill them, they are guaranteed to drop health, which you need to survive. Because it's not the type of shooter where like you have a shield that recharges. It's the type of shooter where you have an exact amount of health, and and once that hits 0, you die, right? So you have to do glory kills for health. The glory kills are things like tearing off a monster's arm and beating him in the head with it, or tearing out a monster's heart and feeding it to him, or taking a monster and literally like ripping it in half, right? So like just again, outrageously, stupidly violent in a way that's oftentimes comedic.
Like
and again, a game that
fatality from Mortal Kombat.
Sure, exactly like that. A game that is, again, a game that revels in its irreverence of just anything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really great. There's also a chainsaw that's automatically kills stuff, and you chainsaw stuff to guarantee ammo drops, and then you pick up gasoline to fuel your chainsaw. So there's this great loop of I'm going to run, I'm going to shoot a bunch of stuff, I'm going to run low on ammo, I'm going to chainsaw this enemy to get a bunch of ammo, to then run forward and kill a bunch of stuff, and then I've got some breathing time where I'm going to go explore and look for secrets.
And oh wow, and in terms of the level progression and things like that, you have a limited amount of free time. You said each level is like 45 minutes.
You could probably get start to finish on the level in like 15 to 30, but I generally explored every level a bunch. Because it was fun to like it's genuinely fun to explore the levels.
Yeah, so it's broken up in a way that you can play a level, kind of pick it up and put it down.
And that is almost the exact way that I played it. Was I would do my wake up at 4:30 thing. I would play a level, and then I would be done. I would have time for one level a day, and I think there are I'd say there's probably 12 levels. I don't know the exact number. It's probably 12 levels.
Okay, so you could probably finish it in 4 to 10 hours.
Something like that, yeah.
That's pretty broad, yeah. I know.
But. Yeah, and there is a multiplayer that I literally didn't touch, and which is probably a little weird, but yeah, I didn't even touch it.
And in terms of the horror element, I think it was Doom 3 was really pretty well known for being really, really just terrifyingly scary, where there's rooms that are pitch black and things. Is there a horror element to this?
No, you're too strong. There's literally nothing that could be scary about this game, because again, any demon that shows up, because basically even when they know that too, and they lean into that, which is great. So even if there's this moment where you come across a new demon for the first time, and they introduce it by like doing a really dramatic camera zoom forward and watch it and having the demon like roar and flex or something like that, rather than feeling like scared as the player, instead you're going to any player I would imagine would feel like, oh, I'm going to kill that thing. I am going to destroy that thing with these 8 guns that I have and my grenades and my everything else. So it's just, you are just too strong. But it still feels challenging in parts, for sure. And the other thing that is that it never, for me, and I mean, I guess I can't say that anybody would feel this way, it never felt unfair to me, ever. Nothing ever felt cheap. Anytime there were areas that were difficult, they felt challenging in like a fair, really fun way, which is I think that's sometimes a hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty sweet too. Everything about this game is just so good. It is so good.
Awesome. And you played it on Steam, but it's also available, I think, on everything, right?
PS4 and Xbox One. From what I understand, the PS4 version between the two of them is the better one, if you have the luxury to have that choice. I think, as usual, the PC version is going to be your best one. If you've got any modicum of a decent PC, that's going to be your best version. It's optimized really well. Everything works awesome on the PC version.
Nice.
Yep. Yep. It was I've wanted to talk, I completed this game a long time ago. I've wanted to talk about it for a while. We just
Well,
haven't
like
got
a couple of months ago, right? Not like 2 years ago.
no, it was like a month and a half.
Month and a half.
So, yeah. So and I never got the chance to, but I still think about it as a game that like I want to go back to and literally play the campaign again.
Do you dream about it?
No.
What difficulty did you set it on? Because you have beaten Dark Souls, right?
Yes.
So you're a glutton for horribly, punishingly difficult games.
I think there's 2 difficulties that aren't even unlocked when you start the game. I think there's like 5 difficulties, and I believe I played it on 3.
I don't like when they do that, when you have to unlock the hardest difficulty. Because what if the hardest difficulty available by default is too easy for you? It just forces you to grind to where you get to a difficulty that's a good difficulty.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of accepted that fact. That's probably a good point. That being said, I was plenty fun and challenging on the first difficulty that I played. And I would like to try it on like hyper violent or super violent. That's one of the difficulty levels. I want to say that's the next one up. That's what I want to play it on the next time that I play it.
Now, is there a safe parental mode where you can turn off the blood and replace things with puppies?
You don't want to kill puppies with shotguns.
No, I mean replace the shotguns with puppies.
Oh, so kill enemies with puppies?
Mm-hmm.
There's none of that. You should not play this in front of your kids. You should probably not play this in front of your girlfriend or your wife. It's the type of game that like you don't want to be caught playing. Unfortunate,
wow.
which is unfortunate, right? Because it's a great game, and it revels in its violence in a way that is comedic and goofy. And I mean, unless you have somebody in your life that understands that kind of goofy level of violence and how it is it is more of a satire on itself.
Sure.
Yeah. But a kid's not going to be able to know that difference. So
no, it's kind of too bad. It's like how the BioShock series has a really good storyline, and so I'd kind of like to be able to play that around my girlfriend. But the whole game is about you basically killing insane people with guns, which is not quite a thing that she'd probably want to watch.
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
So Doom is just a super over the top. Would you compare Doom to Broforce?
No, not really. Not really. It's just a much different thing. Yeah.
Okay. Takes itself seriously enough to still be a first-person shooter.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it takes itself seriously enough in that it is a fully fleshed out world. Like you're unlocking codex entries. There's research that occurred that gives you background on the different demons and like how they came to be and like the different characters that made this world work and like why you opened a gateway to hell. Because why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you do that?
Right. So like there's like an actual fully fleshed out world, whereas in Broforce there's just it's not.
It's just dumb. All right, cool. Well, all right. So overall, highly recommend Doom. Now you have me tempted, but
oh, it's so good. You just couldn't play. You would need to play it like by yourself.
Not around my girlfriend.
She wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine she would.
Yeah, well, it's cool. So good. It's so I don't even have an interest in shooters, and I would recommend playing this game to people. So if you have an interest in shooters at all, like you owe it to yourself to play it. It's one of the best shooters I have ever played.
All right. Well, then on a scale of prequel to 13-2, what would you rate this?
Lightning Returns.
Nice.
Yeah.
You were probably the first person on the internet to rate the 2016 edition of Doom Lightning Returns.
Or maybe the last one. Or maybe the only one.
I would definitely say the last and only. Cool. All right. And nothing else to add then. You're all set. You're all done. That was
everybody
all
should
out.
play it. Everybody should play it.
You pushed it all out. You put it all out there.
I did.
You laid yourself.
I emptied it out. I laid myself bare.
You ran out of ammo.
Bare.
You ran out of ammo and you forgot your chainsaw at home, so you can't kill anybody to get more. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
Cool. Well, listener, thanks for checking us out. This is the Game Life Balance US podcast.
Play it again. I'm just talking about it. I want to play it again.
The American edition of the Game Life Balance podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe, or thumbs up, or whatever. Do something social. Do an engagement with us so that we know that you enjoyed the episode. And please leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever if you want to make our day. You can find us on the Gonna Geek Network at gonnageek.com or on the official podcast network of Chicago's WGN Radio at WGNplus.com. You can learn more about Game Life Balance, including contact information and links to our sister show in Australia at gamelifebalance.us. We release bi-weekly lifestyle episodes where we kind of talk about how we're fitting games into our lives. And then also on our feed, as evidenced by this episode, we occasionally just go full gamer and just spit out a detailed video game review, as we did with Doom. Upcoming game reviews include Civilization 6, which I played, Final Fantasy 14, Heaven's Word, which I'm in the process of playing, and what was the other game you're going to do?
What did I
just
play?
Talked about it last week. Gears of War 4.
Gears of War 4.
John's going to talk about Gears of War 4. I thought there was another game. It doesn't matter. So there's other games. So that's things that we do. So follow us, and we will be happy. And so will you. And so will John.
You're going to be happy.
And if you don't, then he's going to open a gateway portal to hell.
Because why wouldn't you do that?
Again.
Why wouldn't you do that?